Good evening and welcome back to another video. Now I'm in the deepest, darkest woods, and this is either going to be the second video on my badgers or the first video, and the reason I'm not quite sure is that the two videos are linked. Now I've been working on a project for probably about 6 months now, and my project has been one of camera trapping. Now for those of you that have been following the channel for a long time, you will know that I really got into camera trapping in a big way during the pandemic. Now what's happened and why I'm here now with my camera in my hand and a bag that I'm going to talk about in a minute is that I came to deploy my camera trap 2 weeks ago, and as I came down into this area in daylight, just like it is now, the badgers were out. They were out in daylight, and they were youngsters, so they're really quite small badgers. So probably this year's cubs, and they were out of the set and they were foraging and they were playing right in front of me. So I run back to the house, I ditched all my camera trapping equipment and I grabbed my camera. I didn't have my vlogging camera with me at that time, so I just went and got some photographs. However, I've been checking on them throughout the 2 weeks since then, and they've been coming out relatively on command at about 5:30. So we've got a little bit of time to get ourselves nice and settled and get set up ready for them to come. So come along for the journey and see what I see. Okay, so when you're photographing badgers in daylight, there are a couple of things that you need to be aware of. The first is that their eyesight isn't particularly great. So as long as you are not silhouetting and you're not in bright clothing, I think you do relatively well. However, if you want to get the opportunity to get really close to badgers and for them not to know that you're there, then I think camouflage is absolutely essential. So in the video, I showed you this little bag. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through this bag. I'm going to talk about the different things that are in it and why they're important. Okay, so the first thing that I've got is a balaclava. It's a camouflage balaclava, and I'm going to pop that on in a minute, and you'll see immediately the impact of that. We've got 3D camo. Now I think 3D camo is really good. It's very cheap, it's lightweight, you can go over the top of your clothes, it breaks up your silhouette that little bit, and really goes a long way to helping you blend into your environment and get those close shots. So I've got a 3D camo jacket, I've got 3D camo trousers, I'm going to pop them on in a moment. And then I've got some gloves, and the idea is to cover up all those white elements that are on you. So all that's there, I'm going to click my fingers and I'm going to appear in my 3D camo. So there you have it, full 3D camo. I don't know whether you can see that perfectly, from head to toe, completely covered in camo. And what's most important when you're talking about camouflage is covering up any of that flesh. It's the flesh which reflects the light and gives away your concealment. Now the other thing that's really important when we're going to be photographing these badgers is that what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves into a position where we're against a tree and we've got no silhouette whatsoever. So I'm going to go down now, I'm going to get into position, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so as you can see, now I'm perfectly positioned. You can see the tree behind me, and once I'm leaning against that tree, I'm not silhouetting against the horizon whatsoever. So that combined with this camouflage means that I'm perfectly covered. And when the badgers are coming in, I'll pull the brim down of my cap, bring the balaclava up towards my eyes, and I'm covered really well. And the set is just in front of me, and I know that these badgers are going to move out of the set and they're going to immediately immediately start to forage across the ground in front of me. They often use the ground in front of me to drag in fresh bedding to the set. Now what you'll often find that when badgers first come out of the set, that's one of the first tasks that they do. They'll replace the bedding that they've got in their set. They'll take out the bedding that's in there. They sometimes put that at the base of a tree, and then once it's in position, they'll to dry out, they'll gather fresh bedding, leaves and moss, and drag that into the set to make their bedding for the following morning. Now you'll notice that I'm not using a tripod, and I do use tripods a lot, but one of the things that I find when I'm photographing the badgers, I want to be flexible. I want to be able to take the camera low all the way down to the ground to get that eye level shot. I want to bring the camera up to my head. I want to be able to move around, and I think sometimes having the tripod in place really limits me to be able to do that. The second thing is, I think sometimes the tripod can be a bit of a giveaway. It can look a little bit unnatural in a very natural setting. So I will just get myself nice and comfortable, lie down against the tree, and then photograph as the badgers appear. Just there. There's two of them, and they're currently out in front of me. I would say probably no more than about 10 meters away. Now, as you can probably see, there's plenty of light. And I'm using the 400 2.8 lens, which allows me to gather as much light as possible. I'm going to go quiet because they're coming closer. This is just incredible. So the badgers have moved off up the banking, and they've headed to where my camera trap is and the latrine. But I know that the worst thing that I could do in this situation is to follow them. I'm just going to sit tight here, because what these little badgers tend to do is they go up to the latrine, they go to the toilet, and then they loop back round through the brambles, through the trees to my left, and then come back down to this set. Now there are several outlier sets to the back of this area, and sometimes they will visit those, but they always return to this central location. So all I need to do is to sit nice and still and wait for them to come back. So one of the things that I would say about this that's allowed me to have this knowledge, this quite intimate knowledge of this badger set, is the amount of time that I've spent observing them and getting to know them and looking at their habits. They are creatures of habits, badgers. They tend to do the same thing over and over again. And so because of the work that I've done with my camera trapping, through the use of trail cameras that I've had out, and I've had trail cameras out lots for the full 6 months that I've been studying these badgers, that's allowed me to get to know the behaviour that they've done. Now most of that behaviour that I've witnessed has been through the night, but right now in spring these badgers are out in daylight. Unfortunately I'm probably only going to get, I would say, another 3 to 4 weeks in this location being able to photograph them. This vegetation that I'm sat amongst will shoot up in height, and it gets to probably about 6 foot in height. In over the next couple of weeks it will very quickly reach a height where I can no longer see the set. So at that point I'll have to move my location and I'll work the meadows that they'll go up into in the evening. So I'm just going to make the most of this site, because this is the premium site. But once this vegetation grows, I'll no longer be able to use it. Now the other big plus of not having the camera on the tripod, and you will have seen it a couple of times, is I have the opportunity to point my camera up and photograph some of the woodland birds that come through this area. Now what's incredible, and again it's down to the camouflage, is what bird and animal life passes through this location while I'm waiting for the badgers. I've had roe deer passing through at the back of the badger set. I get pheasants quite often working through this area, countless woodland birds, and what's been really special has been sparrowhawks. I've had a male and a female come through this area. Far too fast for photographs, and you know when they're coming through because all the songbirds start alarm calling. But it's an absolutely magical experience to see them working through the forest, hunting for those songbirds. What a fantastic session that was. I've come right away from the badger set now, and they've actually gone off foraging up into the woods, which has given me the opportunity to just back away from the area without causing any disturbance. They came really close in that session, I would say at times were probably within 5 meters of me. And I put that down to the camouflage. I think the camouflage just conceals you that bit that allows these badgers the confidence to be able to come really, really close. And then as long as you are quiet, as long as you keep your volume right down, no sudden movements, everything slow, purposeful, steady, you can get results like this. This won't be the last that I see of these badgers. This won't be the last video I'll probably do of these badgers. My camera trap's still out. It's been out for a week now. So I've got to give that a little bit longer and be able to check on it. I'm hoping that it produces the goods. I hope you've enjoyed this video every bit as much as I have. It has been absolutely... I've gone quiet because I've actually got a chiff-chaff, which you can probably hear calling, and he's literally on the branch at the side of me. If that gets any closer, I'm putting this camera down and getting photographs. Beautiful. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you've not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. It makes a massive difference for the channel. If you've enjoyed it and you want to show your support, there's a buy me a coffee webpage at the bottom. Everybody who donates on that, I really, really do appreciate it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. It makes a huge difference. And until next time, ta-ra.